Thank you. Thanks for coming out. I had a roommate one time who started smoking meth. And so I talked to him and I was like, hey man, I'm a little bit skeptical of your plan to become addicted to methamphetamine. He was like, nah man, it's cool. Meth is actually pretty much the same thing as Adderall. And then he drew me a picture of a meth molecule right next to an Adderall molecule, and he's like, look, they're like 90% the same thing. And I was like, you freehand drawing amphetamine molecules from memory is the most tweaked out thing that you could possibly do, and is not reassuring to me whatsoever. And he was like, nah man, it's cool, I have a system. So my guy has agreed to only sell me 1 gram of meth per week. He only gets 2 grams of meth from his guy, who only gets 3 grams of meth from the guy above him. So we can only have so much meth at any given time so we can't get addicted. And I was like, that's cool. One criticism that I do have is that every single person in this accountability chain is smoking meth. I had mice in my apartment a little while ago, and so I got this exterminator to come out, and he came in and he was like, all right, man, well, I put out some traps and some poison, but I want to be honest with you, it's really more their city than ours. And I was like, that's fine, man. Do you think there's maybe someone else that you could send, maybe someone who has not been defeated by the rodents on like an existential level? Like, it sucks, like I have a real problem, and I've got this philosopher poet coming into my apartment like, perhaps it is mankind himself who is the true vermin. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, what is your problem? Are you out in your little exterminator van reading Nietzsche? You need to grow up. That is a college book. You need to get in here and kill these fucking rats. Like, who really sent you, dude? Why do you smell like cheese? I think it's safe to say that we can probably stop making porn as a species. I think that we have enough at this point. We probably have too much. I think we've gone too far, actually. I think that we need to rein it in. Like, the first caveman to ever carve a picture of titties on a cave wall never could have foreseen the bang bus. You know, like, that's... And it's fucking people's brains up. Like, this didn't used to be an issue, you know? Like, your grandfather did not have hentai. Your grandfather was on the beaches of Normandy trying to jack off to his squad mates' Betty Boop stick and poke tattoo. Like, and he was grateful for that. You know, like we need to go back to that. We need to make pornography harder to access. I think that all porn should come in the form of a jigsaw puzzle. The more perverse the content, the more pieces. You're into like lactating stepsisters, that's 18,000 pieces. So let's see how much you really want that milk. And before you ask, you're not allowed to just jerk off to the picture that's on the puzzle box, all right? So please have a little bit of respect for the system. I don't know, I stopped watching porn a few years ago. I got tired of it. Just like how much time it takes. You know, you have multiple tabs open on your browser. You know, you're looking for the right one to end on. I realized that I could save a lot of time by simply thinking of the thing that made me the horniest. I think it's a great life hack. And what I'm trying to say to you people is that the porn that you're looking for is not out there on the internet. It's in here. It's been in here the whole time. They're gentrifying snack foods now. You guys have seen this, right? Like, you go into the store and there's a bag of chips and it looks like Doritos, but it's not Doritos. It's got like chia seeds in it, and it's called something like Nathaniel's Harvest or some shit. They're all terrible. Like, they all have the same 2 little sections written on the back of them if you look at the label. Like, they always have our story, and then below that, our promise to you. That's how you know they're gonna taste awful. Because things that taste good don't have multiple treatises written on them. Like, Coca-Cola doesn't have those things written on the back. It would be cool if they did, though. It'd be cool if Coca-Cola had like an evil version of those 2 little sections. Like, you turned around a can of Coke and it was like, our story. The original formula was created in the year 1880 by a morphine-addicted ex-Confederate general who thought that it could cure syphilis. Since then, our little family has grown. And we are now part of the same multinational conglomerate that sold chemical weapons to both sides during World War II. They made us take the cocaine out, but it's still pretty fucked up. Our promise to you, if you try to unionize one of our bottling plants, we will fucking kill you. I was walking around Manhattan one time, and there was like this ice cream shop. In front of the ice cream shop, there was this, you know those like little chalkboard A-frame things that they put out front? There's one of those, and on it, they had drawn a picture of a cow, and the cow had a speech bubble coming out of it, and the speech bubble said, "Come try our ice cream, it's utterly delightful." Okay? Do you guys have that image in your head? Can you see it? All right, how do you guys think utterly was spelled on the sign? How do you Yeah, UDDERLY. You know, like the classic dairy pun, right? That's what you guys think? That's not how it was spelled. It was spelled the normal way. It was spelled UTT. It was just spelled the way that it's in the dictionary. Anyways, I don't have a joke about that, but I have been thinking about it for about 7 years. And I just think it's so beautiful. I've got a friend. I was catching up with him a little while ago. This guy, he's in the tech industry, and he does all the tech stuff. He goes to Burning Man. He's into like open relationships. Is this relatable to you guys? Do you guys also have a friend who sucks and you don't like them at all? So I was catching up with this guy, and I was like, "What are you up to these days?" And he was like, "Well, I'm actually quitting my tech job. I'm going to strike out on my own as a Web3 startup founder." And I was like, "Cool, what are you guys going to do?" And he's like, "It's not really about what we do. It's more about becoming a Web3 startup founder and then getting money, and then we'll kind of figure out what it is that we do." And I was like, "Okay, sorry, stupid question. That's not... I'm sorry, that's my bad. I apologize." But then he was like, "Well, we do have one idea that we've been kind of kicking around, me and the guys that I'm working with." This is all true, by the way. He was like, "We're thinking about, you know how you have a title for your car that proves that you own it? Well, you don't have one for your bicycle or scooter or like smaller vehicle, right? So what our company would do is we would create titles for your bicycle or your scooter, and then they would exist as NFTs on the blockchain so that they can't be hacked." And I was like, "That's so sick. I'm so glad that somebody is finally disrupting the bicycle receipt industry. For too long, we've lived in a world where people are like, 'Oh, that's my bike.' And it's like, is it? Is it, you motherfucker?" He could tell I was being sarcastic, and he got kind of defensive. He was like, "Well, actually, it is kind of a revolutionary concept because previously NFTs have only existed on the blockchain. With our company, your NFT exists on the blockchain and also in the real world as your bike or scooter." And I was like, "I feel like you're just pitching the idea of physical objects to me. I feel like you're giving me a hard sell, like, what if reality existed?" But actually, his idea was kind of innovative. When something's on the blockchain, it uses computing power, which draws energy from the grid. So my friend did come up with a new way that allowed bicycles to burn fossil fuels, which in a way is kind of impressive. I guess what I'm trying to say is we need to start bullying nerds again. I think we have to start being mean to them again. Like, we all know this. Like, in the past, we were mean to them. And then a few decades ago, I feel like we were like, "Oh, this isn't right. We should be nicer to the nerds. We should see what they have to say." And it turns out that they suck ass. They turned our world into a technological hellscape within a few years. So we need to go back to our previous system of being mean to the nerds for being freaks who are different. And it sucks. How humiliating is it to know that the people in charge are people like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk? You know what I'm saying? Like, throughout all of human history, the elites, the ruling class, have been horrible people who do fundamentally evil things. But now, in addition to that, they're also corny dweebs. So the situation is even more humiliating. Like, if you were conquered by Genghis Khan, you would be like, well, I don't like this, but I at least understand why. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy's, he's got the horns and the falcon and shit. Like, I get it. Like, but imagine going back 1,000 years and showing a peasant a photo of Mark Zuckerberg and being like, yeah, we kind of have to listen to this guy. And they'd be like, why? What did he do? And you'd have to try to explain to them in terms that they understood, trying to be like, yeah, I guess you could say he's kind of like a powerful wizard who cast a spell that turned all of our aunts and uncles retarded. My mom started raising bees recently. I was back home in North Carolina, and my mom was like, oh, before you go back to New York, why don't you take some honey with you? And I was like, oh, that's great. But as I was trying to catch my flight, the TSA agent pulls me aside, and she takes out the jar of honey, and she's like, you can't take this on the plane. And I was like, why not? And she was like, it's a liquid. And I was like, is it? Do we know? Do we know? Who here thinks, show of hand, who here thinks that honey is a liquid? One person. We got about 3 or 4 people. Okay. Who here thinks honey is like a different thing? All right. Honey's a different thing. But the TSA agent, she didn't buy it. She was like, no, like, it's a liquid. She started tilting the jar, and she was like, look, it's moving inside. And I was like, that's you. You're doing that. Like, you stop. Please stop that. And she was like, you can't take this on the plane because if the top comes off, it'll spill everywhere and it'll make a big mess. And I was like, that's not a terrorism thing. That's more of like a janitorial concern. I feel like the TSA has really expanded the scope of their mission in a disturbing way over the past few decades. I don't like this. But finally, I knew when I was beat, I was like, okay, look, if you got to take the honey, I guess you have to do that. But you should take it yourself. If I can't have it, like, you should take it home. It's from my mom. It's nice honey. And she was like, no, I can't do that. If they find out that I took something from the airport, I will get fired. And I was like, why do you care then? Why do you give a shit? What's in this for you? Why are you taking my honey? Just following orders? Where have we heard that one before? What I'm saying is that the TSA are the real terrorists. Say what you will about Al-Qaeda, but they have never inconvenienced me personally. If you think about it, Al-Qaeda was, in their own twisted way, trying to do something that they thought was good for the world. All right? I don't agree with their methodology. I don't agree with their tactics. Okay? But I do believe that in their own way, they were coming from a good place. But this TSA agent taking my mom's honey was just an arbitrary act of cruelty for no reason whatsoever that I think is, in a way, more evil than 9/11. Anyways, I didn't tell her that last part because I knew that she was also about to find a big jar of tomato relish in my bag, and I needed to keep lines of communication open. Folks, I think that we can all agree that Ocean Spray really fell off hard after the Craisin. Right? Like, do you guys remember back in the early 2000s when the Craisin dropped? Like, shit was wild. People were losing their fucking minds. They were like, a new dried fruit? This is unprecedented. Ooh, it looks like walnuts and goat cheese have a new little partner in crime. But it's been crickets for like 20-something years since. Like, what happened? What happened to them? What happened to ocean spray? I don't think it's that hard to imagine what might have gone down. Imagine, if you will, it's the year 2000, and you're the guy that just invented the Craisin. And your dick is rock fucking hard. All right? You're on top of the fucking world. All right? Can you imagine how hard that guy's wife's back must have gotten blown out that night? Like, that post-Craisin invention sex, that's crazy. You just invented the Craisin, you're on top of the world. People are putting more respect on your name, you know? You're getting headhunted by the other major fruit companies, you know? Dole, Del Monte, Chiquita. That's right, even the lady in yellow wants a little piece of you after the Craisin. You start an affair with your secretary. She's much younger than you, the kind of woman that you never would have had a chance with before. You carry out your late-night tryst after work among the cranberry silos. You know what's wrong, but your newfound power has corrupted you. But after a few months, you know, the glow starts to fade. Life starts to resume its kind of ordinary, dull rhythms. And you start to wonder, is that it? Is that all there is? You may have changed trail mix forever, but inside, you're still the same man with the same fears, with the same flaws. So what do? You throw yourself back into your work, all right? Hoping for another big hit, chasing the tail of the dragon. But your next work is uninspired. The best you can come up with is orange-flavored Craisins. It's derivative, and you know it. Everyone can tell that you've fallen off. To make matters worse, your wife uncovers your affair after she finds a Craisin stuck to your taint. She moves out and starts divorce proceedings. Now, with your career plateauing and your wife gone, you start to wonder, maybe the Craisin brought me more pain than anything else. Maybe it wasn't worth it. And then, on a clear September morning in the year 2001, you turn on your television. The first tower has already fallen. The second one is in flames. And you realize in that moment, the Craisin is really just a blip in the cosmos. Your entire life's work, nothing more than a stone tossed into history's ever-moving stream. All right, that's it. My name is Taylor Rogers. Thank you so much.